So this video is mainly the focus on the functionality of this piece of equipment that I built. I built it a couple years ago. It's a gas-powered AC recovery machine. So you hook up your gauges here. You start the you hook it up to the vehicle. You start the engine. Start the engine on the machine. You turn on this valve, turn on that valve. That allows the Freon to get sucked in, put through this condenser right here, goes out the bottom. This valve is so if you have to disconnect this hose, you don't lose the whole condenser's worth of Freon and blow it out in the air and contaminate the air and whatever. And this is a propane tank that's been converted. It's like a $30 valve. You can convert any propane tank into a Freon tank. You could do 20 pounder, 30 pounder, which turns into a 20 pounder propane turns into a 50 pounder Freon. So basically what I do is I hook this up and I pump into the liquid side of the tank, which then, you know, it condenses in the condenser and in the tank and whatever. So I want to change an AC compressor, or I want to have to disconnect the AC system for some reason. I can recover the Freon and then put it back in, because I refill through the gas side. So any contaminants and schmegma and whatever all stays in the bottom of the tank. And when I do recover the Freon, I don't suck it out so fast that it takes all the oil. I leave the oil in the system that I'm taking it out of. Of course, this doesn't work well if you have a catastrophic failure of an AC compressor. Then, you know, that doesn't work. You'll probably want to dispose of that Freon differently. But so today we're gonna change an AC compressor in a Sterling. The AC compressor has a bad clutch, and the clutch hub will not come off of the compressor. So we're kind of screwed. We got to put a new compressor in. We have a new compressor right here. So yeah, I'm gonna cut and we'll start back up when I get everything all hooked up and get this thing ready to go. We'll show you how it works. So we got it all hooked up. The line going here, going up to there, and so I'll show you how it works. Hopefully it, you know, like starts. That'd be cool. We turn the, hang on, let me see where we're looking at here. Okay, so you can see where you're seeing. Alright, good. So we turn the gas on. I always turn the gas off because I put this in the hitch of my truck and it's always vibrating and whatever and bouncing down the road. So it's kind of a pain in the ass. You got to get in here, but the air going through the cooling system, some of it goes through the condenser, so it helps cool the Freon when I recover it. I usually leave the throttle about a quarter or whatever. So I start it up. Let's put it on about half choke. screen so I can see. Got this little window right here. You want to watch that window and make sure that the oil isn't going through, because then you have to replace that oil. And then you have to gas, and if you put too much, it's no good. Too little is no good. So I like to start, go kind of slow. Slower is better. Slow it down some. Then you check your pressure, make sure it's not going too high. Everything's fine. I always gotta touch everything. So, whatever. So I'll show you. Basically, you just bring it right down where it goes into a vacuum, and it has recovered everything. You take it out of both sides, because if you take too much out of one side or too much out of the other side, you'll be drawing oil in. So if you go slowly on both sides, you'll leave a majority of the oil in the system, and it'll all be good. And yeah, so I'm gonna cut, and we'll come back when I get the AC compressor done and we're ready to charge. I'll show you how I charge the system. Alright, so here we are again. AC compressor is installed, hooked up, and we got the vacuum pump right here. It just a standard cheap eBay vacuum pump. I had to adapt it because it had some funky thread down here. That's probably why it was cheap. I ended up coming up with this adapter to make it work to the 1/2" Acme threads, which is what all my stuff uses. So whatever, you turn your vacuum pump on, you check to make sure the cord is plugged in. Okay, we gotta fix that apparently. That's cool. Alright, so we got the vacuum pump running. And you come up to your gauges. You vacuum it all down. What the hell is going on here? Why? Why is it sideways? Alright, there we go. So you vacuum it all down, open both, doesn't really matter, the vacuum pump only goes just so fast. And then whatever, so that's the vacuuming process. You go right down to where you can hear that vacuum pump. When you don't hear that noise anymore, and it gets down to where it's just tick, 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 that's when you know that it's down to nothing and you're ready to charge. So we're gonna cut, and we'll come back when I'm ready to, when this is done vacuuming and ready to charge. Usually takes 2-3 minutes. If you have any moisture in the system, sometimes you gotta go a half an hour. As it is, this system was open for like a minute and a half, so there's gonna be no moisture, just gotta vacuum the air out. Alright, so we just vacuum the system down. We're done with that. Take the cap off, put it on here. Alright, so now You just suck the Freon out. We may have picked up a little bit of air because it happens. So, you know, the system didn't have any air in it or moisture, but so what you do, and by the way, the water moisture will go to the bottom. Anybody that says otherwise is wrong. Air, Freon will go to the middle. Water will go all the way to the bottom. The oil will be here, and the liquid Freon will be here. Air will be up here. Air rises, Freon sinks. So what you do is you figure maybe you picked up a little bit of air. So you take the gas valve, blow off just a little bit. Don't go nuts, because you're not supposed to do this. But that little bit isn't a big deal. I mean, hell, people lose more Freon than that in the AutoZone parking lot with those little 1-pound cans and those little cheap charge kits you buy, and when people don't know how to use it, they lose more than that. I don't want to talk about it. But okay, so you put this on, you put the gas. Now mind you, this is just the gas. This isn't, there's no liquid going in. Ordinarily when you would charge, you would put liquid in, it would go a lot faster. But this is going to be a slow process. It is what it is. So now you open this, open the valve, go over to the gauges, make sure that you don't have any air on the line going from there to there. The cleaner it is, the better the system's going to work. The system will work with air in it, but it won't work right, because air does not mix with Freon. The air will go to the highest point, so the top of your evaporator, the top of your condenser, and it will cause lack of cooling of the Freon and lack of cooling from the Freon. So the less air that you have in the system, the better. So that's why you purge that little bit out, just to make sure. Alright, we're back again. Had a little mishap. The clutch on the brand new compressor was popping the fuse. I went from a 15 to a 20, and then it started smoking out of the connector that was right here. So that told me that there was a dead short in the coil. So if you go over here, you can see where it started to burn out of the side of the connector. The coil's warm, and that's a Ford FOMOCO, Ford Motor Company, Ford part number. This would be the third compressor that I've had to deal with some kind of an issue on this. Whatever. All right, so we'll this video was supposed to be just about my homemade AC recovery machine, but it is now transferred off to being about how bad Sterling aftermarket AC compressors suck. Anyways, all right, start the truck again, blower motor on high, make sure it's in neutral, max AC, make sure the AC switch is on, and let's try this again. There we go. These are spinning. And once again, I charge off the gas side of the bottle, so any contaminants stay in the bottom. Before I hook up, I blow a little bit of air off the top in case there's any air in here. You blow it out. Purge this line. Make sure we're good there. This valve is on. And then we start the charge. High side goes up. Starts getting cold eventually. climbs up, the fan's gonna kick on. Drops right back down. So if you see that pressure climbing up, it doesn't mean you're full. If the fan kicks on and it drops right down, and that means you're not full yet. This pressure, not important. It is, but it isn't. This is the one you want to keep an eye on. Then charge it on up until you start to get cold. This is going to be cold. You want to get cold to here. Takes a little bit because we're charging from the gas side, not the liquid side. So takes a little bit longer than conventionally. This is starting to get cold here. Grab my phone here. Want to check it again, see it's starting to condensate. Takes a little bit because that tank cools off, and when the tank cools off, the Freon doesn't go as fast. Sometimes I even have to take my Burns-O-Matic, my map torch, and stick it underneath that tank and warm it up. Which, no, it's not dangerous. As long as you don't heat it too much. Starting to get some cold out of this side too. Fan will kick off. We'll climb up to about 350 again. The fan will kick back on. And then as this pressure rises, this pressure rises too. This pressure rises because the Freon coming in right here is starting to get hotter and hotter. So it becomes less efficient. Then the fan will kick on and this will come right back down to 40 again. Starting to get pretty cold. I need you guys to bear with me a little bit. This is the first video I've ever taken of my repairs or anything of any value for that matter, so bear with me. Maybe you give it a little wiggle. That way the cold Freon touches the sides, warms it up, makes it come out a little quicker. takes forever to get that last little bit in there. But when you're on the road, you don't have access to a fancy machine and a shop and whatever. It's a hell of a lot better than a sharp stick in the eye, that's for sure. We're getting pretty cold down there. If we closed up the doors on the truck, if I didn't have a little munch wimp that wants to sit there and be the first one in the cold air, that pressure would be a lot lower and that pressure would come down and the fan would turn off. Alright, we lost you there for a second. Apparently I don't know, timed out or something. But nice and cold. It's nice and cold now, so maybe we'll give it a little bit more charge. I'd say we're pretty good and fully charged now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to evacuate the Freon out of this line, because there's no sense in leaving all that liquid Freon in this line with the gauge storing the gauges. So you go down here, you turn this valve off so it doesn't go back into the tank. Turn this valve off so it doesn't just reset. That's what I was saying. So we're going to evacuate the Freon out of this line. We turn this valve off, make sure that valve is off. Now we turn this valve on, and we turn this valve on. See, it'll blow it all through. It'll suck it into the other side. Both gauges will drop all the way down. And then you can go ahead and turn this off, disconnect everything, and you're done. Put the caps back on, you're good to go. Okay, so I made that video earlier about how this works. I should have, in the first clip, I should have explained this machine a little bit better. Understand how I made it. So the AC compressor is just a cheap aftermarket AC compressor. Some fittings I got at the local hydraulic supply. You can see I brazed some stuff together and whatever. These are fittings that are for a hose to go on, but I cut it off and I brazed these on just to simplify it a little bit. This is like a hot rod AC compressor, just aftermarket, whatever. As you can see, I don't use the 12 volt clutch. What I did, in case I ever wanted to use the clutch, I didn't completely destroy it. What I did is I just drilled a hole. Hang on. Okay, yeah, you can see that good. I just drilled a hole and drove in a roll pin, so the clutch is engaged all the time, essentially. But if I ever wanted to use this for something else or whatever, if the project didn't work out, I was able to just take that roll pin back out and revert back to normal normal function. And this is just a little GX 120, I believe. A little like a 4 horsepower or something Honda that I had laying around. This is just a Toro belt that happened to fit perfectly. It's got a little bolt here. When you tighten the nut on the bottom side, it will tighten the belt. Just basic. And the reason it's got 2 pulleys is I didn't know if this was going to be fast enough, so I put 2 pulleys on there, so if I wanted to switch them and run it faster, I could do that. As it is, this acts as more of a flywheel. Makes the engine run a little smoother. And yeah, earlier I had a little water in the gas. I don't use this very often, so it's very possible that the carburetor's a little gummy, but whatever. It works. It works when I need it. I want to eventually add a valve up here on the end of this hose somehow. So if I take this off, I lose even less Freon, just for environmental purposes and whatever. But as it is, I like never take this bottle off, so it really doesn't matter too much. I just accumulate Freon in it, and I use it as I need it. And this is just an AutoZone biggest transmission cooler they had in stock. As you can see, it's a little bit beat up. I got to build a guard around it. This was just a quick thing that I built that just kind of grew. So, what do you want? This was just a quick thing that just kind of grew, and I just kept adding to it. So, you can see some things are kind of hack, but it works. It works great. It's way better than nothing. It's way better than the clowns that just blow the Freon into the air. And yeah, it happens. And we were all that clown at one point. But I mean, for an engine that's just laying around, and then this is a $70 AC compressor, and another like a $30 transmission cooler, and a free pressure washer, frame. It's like a Simpson or something, and a propane tank that I converted. And I mean, it didn't cost me much, so anybody with any mechanical experience could build this. So there's really no excuse for anybody to be blowing Freon into the air just because they're too lazy to recover it. Like I said, it's not perfect by any means. And the tank, like I said, is just a propane tank. It's an old expired propane tank that was destined for the scrapyard. And I unscrewed the valve out of it and screwed this in there. It has a little straw on it so you can get the liquid out of the bottom if you wanted to. Don't know if that's legal or not. Don't really care, because it's not for sale. It's for my personal use. And this strap, I want to eventually come up with a better securement, but it's got like a bolt that goes through this little piece of flat stock and goes into the little slot in the bottom of the can. And then on this side, it's got another piece of flat stock that keeps it kind of sandwiched in there, that one. So this strap just kind of keeps it on that bolt, so it isn't coming off. I want to come up with some kind of a better system at some point to secure the can, but for now this works great. This is Acme. This is half-inch Acme thread fitting, and then it goes to another Freon style fitting to 1/8 inch pipe, and then down here it goes 1/8 inch to 1/4, so I could have the gauge. This gauge actually doesn't really do anything, so it's really kind of stupid. I don't need it. And then this is brazed onto this. I'm not sure what size AC fitting that is. And then out of this side is whatever size AC fitting that is, brazed onto this T. And this gauge is kind of important. And then it's 1/4 inch pipe, 3/8 like high pressure fuel hose or something. It's like 300 pounds burst or something. It never sees 300 pounds. Or 300 pounds rated and like 900 pounds burst or something. I don't know. It doesn't care. It doesn't matter. And then this transmission cooler, 3/8 hose, back, JIC to 1/4 inch. This was like a Sunday add-on. This is, I think I did this on a Sunday, so this is whatever fittings I had in the truck to make it go to that, and because I wanted to add this valve in, so I didn't lose Freon when I had to disconnect this. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And it goes in the trailer hitch. Ordinarily I put a pin in there, but right now I got a brake cage bolt. But I take that off, pull the thing off the truck, use it, or sometimes I try to get the truck close enough that I don't even have to take it off and I can just use it the way it sits. And yeah, it's it works. So I figured that I would circle back because I should have covered this in better detail, so somebody else can maybe build something similar, maybe build it better. But this is what I got. You know, don't, if you see anything wrong with this, obviously don't copy what I do, because, you know, not everything I do is safe or even legal. I don't know if it's legal. I don't really care. Yeah, so I hope you all enjoyed this, and you know, like my video and subscribe or not, whatever you want to do. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and if you have any questions, feel free to comment and I'll try to, you know, answer them. And yeah. All right, well, thank you for watching.